So
But,
let's talk about, after the Olympics and so on, you play at the university, right?
well, okay. After, in 48, I was a freshman
Right.
at Minnesota. They were on the quarter system, 3 school sessions during the year. I went on the Olympics for the winter session, and that's when I had gone home and I had it. I was going to stay home and play senior hockey. But I kind of grew up on the trip, so when we came back, I went back to school at Minnesota and the spring quarter. So I was always 1 quarter behind because freshmen weren't eligible. So the following year, when I would have normally been a sophomore, I wasn't eligible to play till Christmas, which was no problem.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I kind of felt obligated to Minnesota too, because they were the ones that got me out of the mask and got me the contact lenses, which I guarded with my life when I was traveling over in Europe, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So when you graduate from the university in what, 50?
Well, I guess you might say 52.
52. So then what? What's next for Rube?
The U.S. Army, you know.
Okay.
52 to fall of 52 till the fall of 54
Okay.
in the U.S. Army. Lots of Rosa Warroad boys with me there when we went to basic training. Dayton Grafstrom, Floyd Olson, Jimmy Brewster from Warroad was my bunkmate. I don't remember if I had the upper bunk or I had the lower one, but we were all in the same squad, and Jimmy and I, but Dayton was there too. Ray Johnson, whole bunch of us. Got all drafted at the same time, got all shipped to Fort Ord, California, and from there, whatever, you know.
Okay.
So I went to Korea, was there for 1 year.
Okay. So your service to the country is completed then. You're out of the Army. Now what?
Okay. Dayton Grafton will tell you this one. True story. True story. My dad, of course, worked for the county and he worked for the city. The most notable job for him with the city was the arena caretaker of the Roseau outdoor, the Roseau new indoor rink. So he was around hockey all the time. And after coming out of the service and doing what, I don't remember what, for a little while in the wintertime, he told me to go down to the river, cut a couple of holes in the river and throw my skates in, get a job, you know. So I didn't do that, but I didn't do that, but and I'm sure Dayton was with me when he was telling me this. Been too much traveling and hockey, you know, time to get to business. And at the time, about that time, Warroad was using the Roseau Arena for their playoffs. Because the ice was, I don't know, Roseau I'm sure didn't have artificial ice at that time, but maybe it was holding the ice better than the Warroad rink. And the Warroad Lakers were in their playoffs there, and Larry Ross from International Falls, the head coach there, who had been the goalie at Minnesota when I was there for most of the time, was there at the game and sitting visiting. He told me about a coaching job opening up on the Iron Range, and I should apply for it. It was Greenway High School in Coleraine. So I applied, and I got the job, and that's where I started my coaching out in 55. I was there for 8 years. A math teacher and hockey coach.
Okay.
Golf coach, too.
Well, I've seen you on the golf course, so I know you were a specimen out there. So you're in Coleraine for
8 years.
8 years.
Love the Iron Range.
It's a classic place to be.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And it was good going at that time. It was mostly direct or washed ore that was being sent, no taconite or that kind of business, but it was good.
So
Good
you end
people.
up with a college coaching job then.
Yeah, from I had several good high school hockey players. Several of them went on and played hockey. At the one time, though, at this specific time, I had Mike Talk, who ended up playing at UMD. I had John Lothrop, who ended up being a goalie at Minnesota. I had several players. And Ned Harkness, who was the head hockey coach at RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. I defy you to try spell all of that. Came up to visit the school because these guys were good students too, and wanted to get them to go to RPI, you know. And so I got to meet him, but it wasn't long afterwards, somewhere along the line, he resigned at RPI and went to Cornell University, and he told the athletic director, gave him my name, recommended me, and they came up and talked to me, and I got that job, and I started out there. A private institution. It wasn't we made the national tournament and took third in it on about 10 players, had a couple of really good ones out of Toronto. But it was hard to recruit for it, and the recruiting was totally different than what it is today, okay? There were no computers, no nothing. You had to just travel and get out there and see them and try to convince them to come to your school. And there were no scholarships per se to see. It was all based on academic need or financial need. But anyway, it was private school, and I wasn't really comfortable there. And then the University of New Hampshire, a state school, opened up there. They were looking, they had been outdoors, but they were looking for a coach. And they talked to me, and it was a state university, which I understood how state universities kind of operated. So I went to the University of New Hampshire, which was a very nice job, very good place. My wife loved it there. And I stayed there for 4 years and then went to the University in North Dakota from there.
Okay. So you were so then North Dakota, you were there for what, 10 years? 10 years or so? Okay.
And that's why I'm kind of here in Warroad, because one of my players was at North Dakota, more than one, but was Scott Marvin. Jack Gagne was there. Several Rosal players, some from Thief River, some from East Grand Forks. Had to get kids I knew and could go watch, because there's no other way in those days to keep track of how they were doing, you know. And you'd get a break of a week or so to go out in the spring of the year and find somebody. The one thing, there were none of these early commitments like they have now. You recruited high school seniors, okay?
Okay.
But Scotty Marvin was there, and Tut and Mary were faithful followers, and I got to know Tut really well and really trusted them and trusted the Marvins. And this is where I ended up coming here.
Good. Yeah. You must have a lot of coaching at 3 different colleges or universities. You must have a lot of good memories, a lot of stories you've gathered with all the players you've had, coaches you've been with, and experiences?
Oh yeah, there are all kinds of them, and some I'm not going to tell you about, okay? I'd rather not. But one hits home with me. Last night I took my little great-granddaughter home from her hockey practice. She lives out by the Lake Township building. Andy's little daughter. Took her home from her hockey practice. That was a little after 6 o'clock. Took her in, went in and visited a minute or so with her mother about her two brothers having 6 a.m. practice this morning. Come outside, and I could hardly see where my car was because it was snowing so hard, okay? So this is reminding me, it was snowing so hard I could hardly see. I managed to get back from their house to Highway 11. And I always take the back road, I don't know what you call it, Township Road 46 or whatever. But I couldn't see what was going on. I could see if there was any traffic coming or not because of the car lights. But when you come off from their house, you got to make a little left-hand turn to get onto the 46, the back road. And I didn't make enough of a turn, and I ended up in the ditch. Had to get Andy to come and pull me out. That reminded me of a night just like that. One time back in North Dakota. During the week sometime, I was very high and in good position on a recruit out of Winnipeg. And I had made arrangements to go up and see him play in a game and sit down and kind of finalize everything, you know. In those days, you were allowed to give scholarships out. I ain't telling you how many, but you were allowed to give scholarships or how much they were or whatever. And I'd been at a Sioux Booster meeting, so I was going up after the Sioux Booster meeting. Got in my car and got on I-29, couldn't see the front end of my car, you know, but I'd made arrangements. I got 2 or 3 miles down I-29, and there was a little fancy European sports car pulled over to the side, so I stopped. Was a young guy in there, he was going to Winnipeg, his car wouldn't run. He said he asked if where I was going, I told him, of course. And he said that's where he was headed for, too. And he'd leave his car standing there and get other arrangements made to get it picked up. He'd ride with me and help me, a shotgun rider, you know. You couldn't see nothing. On the overpasses, you couldn't go underneath them because they were all drifted shut. You had to go up around and go off down the other side. I got to Winnipeg, barely. So I get into Winnipeg, and no cell phones in those days. I get to find a phone someplace and call up, and the kid's brother answers, and I told him who it was, and I said, I'm here to see whatchamacallit, and talk and visit with him, and he says, yeah, he says, he's decided to go to Wisconsin. So
All that effort in vain.
oh man, took my life and the other guys oh man, it was bad, but yesterday was bad too. But when you get out in that wind in the prairie, I'll tell you it's something else. That's just one. I mean, there are all kinds of stories.
Yeah.
Recruiting is something else. There's none of this. Hey, I think they're doing away with a lot of this early commitment stuff now from kids. No reason a kid in the 5th grade should commit to some school, you know. 8th graders,
Right.
baloney.
Yeah. So
It's different.
after North Dakota, you come to Warroad. You've talked a little bit about that. And you end up with a job at Marvin. Tell us about your job there a little bit
Well,
and who you worked with.
okay, in those days, it wasn't human resources, it was the personnel office. I really liked it. Nice job. Good people to work with. There were Dwayne Fosher at that time, and Sam Johnson, and myself, plus the real backbone of the whole organization, several girls in the office that, really, I think, to this day, run the show. But anyway, I worked there, and I liked that job, because I trusted the Marvins, and what they expected from me was to work, and plus they, especially Bill Marvin, my God, he must have known everybody in the plant, walked out and visited with them. I remember our daughter was in a music summer camp in Michigan. I keep forgetting the name of it, but was there all summer for it. And Bill and Margaret and their traveling stopped in and visited with her, just didn't tell them to stop and visit with them, or whether, they just did, So that was good. I enjoyed it.
How long were you at Marvin?
I don't know.
Before you retired? No.
Oh, I guess 20 years
20
at
years.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So you've been here now for a considerable number of years. You've seen lots of changes, in town, and I know you follow hockey very, very closely. Talk about some of the changes you've seen in town, and then later maybe how hockey has changed.
Well, first of all, let's the community of Warroad has a lot going for it. They got a very steady employer. They got access to a great lake, good farming around. It's got everything you want, okay? What more could you ask for, And they're really starting now to take advantage of it, okay? Of their resources. And it's becoming kind of the little gem of the North. I mean, for example, the construction that's going on, look at the new Fine Arts Center, look at the new motel, look at the school, look at the arenas, look at the athletic facilities, look at the park, all of that business. They're taking advantage of their natural resources. And like I say, it's because why wouldn't you want to move here? Raise a family in an area like this, where if you're in trouble or you're sick or you need something, you got people that know you. It's really taking advantage of the resources they have. They're taking advantage of it, which is great. Hockey is totally different from when I first came here. I mean, it was the old barn like Rosel's building over there. Now they got two major facilities. My favorite rink in the whole world is the Olympic Arena. Not because of the name, but just because of the comfort that it provides. I remember when they first built the first Olympic Arena, I don't know what it had on it, like it was an old country school or not even that much. But I mean, if you want, it had a lot of dressing rooms in it. But if you wanted to see what was going on, you had to be one of the two first guys here to get to look out the little window, you know, that was in there. The one thing the Olympic Arena has done with that new lobby, it's brought a lot of mamas into the program, because now they can go take their kids to the rink, and they've got someplace. They don't have to run back out in the car to stay warm. They can stay in there, visit, watch, and that kind of it. Two great facilities, utilize them good, and the athletic facilities, the setup they have over there, baseball, football, softball, and all, you know, track facilities, great. Plus, the town has what I really love. What's that?
Golf.
The golf course, you bet your life. Nice and handy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Have you found that perfect swing yet? Are you still looking?
I wouldn't tell you. It might be worth a little bit of money. Hey, I can't have TV on too loud at night, so, because it keeps my wife awake. So I turn the volume way down, and I'm an early riser, early to bed, early to rise.
Makes a
Hasn't
man
helped.
healthy, wealthy, and wise.
It missed me in all shots, but so, but so I can't have anything on loud. So I put the volume down and ask the TV golf. Yeah, and I get some golf on, and so I've been watching golf swings in silent golf swings all winter. Maybe it might rub off. I don't know. I think I'm on the verge of discovering it, though.
Say, last winter, you were lucky enough to be a part of Hockey Day Minnesota in 2024. You got to drop the ceremonial puck at the big game. That had to be kind of a special.
I think that was probably the most satisfying event of my hockey career, okay? I really appreciated that. Meant a lot to me. Really meant a lot. And that was a perfect set of rivalries, too, Roseau versus Warroad. You couldn't get anything cleaner or better than that, okay?
Yeah, it was a perfect event.
Oh man, I tell you,
The weather was perfect.
Yeah.
Boy.
Can you imagine the detail that went in and running that thing?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
The week before the event started, it was miserable weather outside. The day after it was over with, on a Sunday, if you'd have been going out there and walked out there on Monday, you'd been in mud, you know? Yeah. So it was just perfect. Fog the whole shot, you know?
Say, there's an image that stands out in my mind when you were out there dropping the puck. The coat that you wore. Tell us about that. It was...
You know, initially I never gave it much thought. I just thought, gosh, I don't have any Olympic hats left or anything like that. I don't have a... If I had an Olympic jersey, it looks horrible. The Moss have probably had a heyday, but I pulled out this jacket, which we've had, mind you, we've done a lot of traveling since 52. That jacket's been traveling a long time, lots of places. I couldn't believe it. Pulled it out of the bag it's been kept in, and it looked like it was perfect shape the day it, you know. So I put it on, and a lot of people appreciated that. But I didn't think it was going to have the effect that it had on people.
Yeah, it was pretty special.
Yeah. And, yeah, it meant a lot to me.
Great. Okay, Rube, kind of in closing here, you have raised your kids here, basically, your grandkids. Now you have great grandkids you're following around and hauling to events and watching their sports contests, and that's got to be pretty special for you.
Yeah, it is. I wish a couple more of our personal children were living in the area, because I have another granddaughter by a John that played hockey at St. Thomas. She's now in Arizona, which kind of divides my son's ice fishing versus golf ambitions.
Yeah.
Lation has two, a daughter and a son. That's my daughter, Lation. They live in the Twin Cities. Don't get to see them hardly ever. Get to see Lation once in a while when we go for hockey and that kind of business. And Kirsten has Andy and his family here in Warroad involved, two boys, one girl, all involved in hockey, plus his wife is involved in sports. Andy is too. And then Nicholas in Thunder Bay, Andy's brother, has two daughters that are nice little athletes, young girls,
Yeah.
Yeah. They go to a French-speaking school up there. The system up there is, I don't understand it, so I'm not getting into it, but I guess the government finances parochial church schools, it's the same funding as they give public. I don't understand it, but they speak French. So that leaves me out. I know French from the first trip. Jus de pomme. I think that means juice and potatoes, French fried jus de pomme, pomme de fruit, apple juice. I think, gets way back to, in 48 was right after the Second World War. Holy smokes. London, you could see where bombs had been and, buildings blown all apart. But they tell me when we got to France, the food got a little bitter, but they said the meat was horse meat. So I don't know. I don't know. That's okay. Switzerland, when we went there, my God, I gained a lot of weight there.
Well, we are going to close up here.
Okay.
A couple of things. Number one, you're going to have a birthday, in a couple of weeks here.
Yeah.
So right now, today,
I'm not going to put out my P.O. box number or anything, for...
So today you are how old?
Today I am 95. In a week or so I'll be 96.
Wow.
I hope.
You're amazing.
I hope.
Amazing man.
I hope. It's been a tough winter for me. I've been not feeling as good as I normally do, but it's going to be golf pretty soon.
So my last question, what does a 95-year-old man do in Warroad, Minnesota to occupy his retiring years?
Well, you visit the Warroad Motors and Boys a lot in the morning, stir up some trouble, find out what's going on in the community. And then I used to get the mail, but Andy's crew has taken that over, so I don't have to do that. I go and visit with the girls in his office for a minute. Then I go home and rest up and go to the arena for whatever is happening there every day.
Okay. And during the summer?
5 o'clock in the morning, get up and eat something, go out in the backyard and practice my golf swing exercises, and then head to the golf course to hit golf balls and play a little golf.
Yeah. You've had a good life, Rube.
I hope it keeps going.
So do we.
Yeah.
We enjoy having you. So
Thank you.
thank you very much for
Thank
doing
you.
this. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.